My role at HP is really to work with our customers, with our stakeholders, and industry analysts and journalists to help them understand the opportunities that green IT brings to the marketplace, how it can be used to solve customer issues, and also how, in doing so, that companies and our customers can lower their environmental impacts. At HP, this has been a 20-year journey for us, so we've learned a lot of things over 20 years, and my priorities stretch from the product attributes on one side and looking at how we make the products that we bring to market more energy efficient, how do we use better and less materials to make them, and it's been a 20-year journey for us, even looking at how can those products be recycled at their end of life. So across this journey then, we've gone from just our products to the solutions focus, to the data center focus, and many even of the challenges that Myra mentioned in terms of printer optimization. How do you look at what's the optimal number of printers to have in an environment? How to look at that client environment? And the other thing that I think has helped HP and will help our customers going forward is the solutions that we're bringing to market we've done ourselves. So if we talk about data center optimization, going from 85 down to 3 and 3 backups, what does that look like in terms of printer portfolios and managing them, going from everybody has a printer to shared printers, and how do you go to forcing duplexing? And at the same time, in an employee base of 300,000 employees, how do you make sure the users actually adopt, accept, and appreciate some of these changes and the benefits that you derive from making these changes? And then on the far end of that spectrum, HP has a dedicated group at HP Labs looking at what are those technologies in the future? How do we fundamentally change this environment that we work in today to make further changes? Well, that's a great question, and we do coordinate. We don't put a single person in charge, and one of the things that we've learned doing these types of things internally to HP is if you don't have all of those groups represented, you're leaving an opportunity on the table. So in one sense, if the facilities folks aren't involved, they control the infrastructure in many cases. But if the IT folks aren't involved in what is happening within our IT infrastructure, we're missing opportunities. We also bring in our branding folks, because when you do the right things that save money from a green IT perspective, for example, there's a positive brand impact, there's a positive employee impact, so our HR folks are involved. And so what we've found in our own experience and what we recommend to customers is bring those groups together, many of whom have never been together around a common table. But yet if you don't do that, you're leaving those opportunities on the table, both financially and brand optimization opportunities. And in fact, I think John made a great point that one of the errors that I see a lot of our customers make is they don't measure the baseline. And so when it comes time to prove an improvement, they can't do that. I think the other thing is to make sure that you do it in a verifiable, consistent manner, and that's part of the value of the Green Grid and other groups, is where there's not a common yardstick, then they're out developing the common yardstick so that we can measure that. And then be very transparent about that, because as you make these improvements, if you're not transparent about it, then all of your numbers and all of your data come into question. And one of the challenges for IT is, generally speaking, we've not had the ability to measure power consumption of the data center, for example, because we measure the electricity input at the building, not the data center. We haven't been able to measure it across a single client device or a portfolio. So I think all of that is really important. And as we start seeing things like carbon cap and trading legislation and others, where you're going to have to be able to prove those savings and prove them in a verifiable manner, this is going to become a really critical issue. I think one of the big challenges we've got to overcome is we're looking at our data centers and our infrastructure in new ways, yet we're looking at it with a today or near-term mindset. And so I think that more strategic mindset of how do we optimize given what we know today, but at the same time position ourselves for future optimization, that's one big challenge. I think the other big challenge, and a couple folks have alluded to it, is many of these optimization opportunities depend on our user community. And so at the same time that we're making these changes, we've got to make sure that the users don't undermine our optimization because they don't understand what we're trying to achieve or the benefits of doing it. I agree it's an issue that's going to stay. And part of what we've been talking about today, though, is optimizing IT. And IT is about 2% of the world's carbon footprint. And so my vision, and I think the opportunity, and I think where you're going to see this go, is IT has been universally recognized as a solution to help lower the other 98% of the world's carbon footprint. So how do we use the business processes and how do we use technology to make significant reductions in how we do business around the world, how people engage, everything from online shopping to telepresence solutions. A great example from an HP perspective is we have a virtual collaboration technology called Halo that allows me to do interviews with journalists in Singapore or in London without ever getting on an airplane. So when we fundamentally transform business processes, I think there's a great opportunity going forward for IT to be a big part of that 98% solution. And quite frankly, for us to get to the carbon targets we need to, we're going to have to focus there, and I think IT helps tremendously.
Yeah, well.